Hello and welcome to Friday's Masterclass edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and this is the time every week where I get to solve a cryptic crossword for you, or at least try to, and I will talk through my thought processes as we go, and hopefully for those of you who are new to this art form in the world of puzzles, that will be a helpful thing. I was saying every Friday I do this. I think next Friday I can't do it. I think next Friday I have a golf competition, so I'll have to ask Mark to step into the breach then. But anyway, today I'm going to be having a go, and I think that the snitch rating for today's Times crossword was of average difficulty. Oh look, in fact, there we go. Mark's had a go. Those of you who are of a cryptic bent may be able to work out why Mark sometimes refers to himself as Mr. Magoo. His name is Mark Goodliffe, so a sort of shortening of his first name and surname is how he came up with Magoo. Mark's in there with 624. Verlaine is real. That's Matthew Marcus, who is the reigning Times Crossword champion. And in fact, the Times Crossword Championship is coming up next month. In fact, in just about a month's time. So Mark will be trying to regain his crown from Matthew and others too. Mystigris is real. There may be other real. Pontius is definitely not real. So they've done statistical analyses on most of these people at the top here and proved that they are typists because their times don't vary according to the difficulty of the puzzle, which is a bit of a giveaway. But anyway, let's just go a bit further down. Let's see if we can see anybody else I really recognise. Not particularly. So let's let's go back here. Now I've got my dictionary. Here we go. So I will use the dictionary, but only once I've locked in a word. I'm not going to use it to solve. But anyway, let's get cracking. See, I should mention as well, we are doing a live edition of Cracking the Cryptic, not the crossword. We're going to solve a Sudoku at the Stratford Literary Festival on the 27th of October. So some of you may be interested in that, and I think there are a couple of tickets left. So I'll try and remember to put a link under the video. But anyway, let's get cracking. Here we go. I haven't looked at the clue in anything other than I've glanced at it. I haven't read it yet, and I think it's an anagram. And I might be wrong, but there's something about this string of letters that looks... Actually, it might not be an anagram. No, there's just... I don't know. There's something about that string of letters that screams anagram to me. But now I read the clue, I can't see any words that would... Unseated might be an anagram indicator. If you unseat the letters of a word, they might be shuffled. But there doesn't seem to be anagram fodder that would add to 12 letters, so I'm probably on the wrong line. So let's read the clue anyway. Temporary stable, or temporary stable lad, unseated here. Bucking bronco. A temporary stable. Sorry, there's a drill going on outside today, and thunder, so it's all going off outside my window. I don't know. I'm sort of... I just don't know. We'll have to go on. In conversation, claim female consumed surfeit. Now, I've talked about this in a few of the videos, but it's a very common type of clue. If you see in conversation in a clue, it very often is referring to a homophone. And the other phrases that where you might see this sort of thing, if a clue includes we hear or one catches, because if you catch something you hear it. And what we're required to do in clues like that is to think of a word. So in conversation, claim. Can we think of a word that means claim? I'm thinking of a ledge, but it's not going to be that. But it's going to be a word that sounds like, well, a word for claim, and then we're going to have a word that sounds like that word but is spelt differently that will required. I mean, actually, female consumed, that sounds like female can be abbreviated to F. And if you consumed something, you ate it. So I'm wondering if this ends in fate. A surfeit of something is a... I don't know, actually. I can't think of it. So this is not an auspicious start. Let's try 7 down. Roaming US states, Ohio and Georgia in part. See, roaming here is interesting, isn't it? Could this be an anagram? 6, 7, 8. It could be, couldn't it? If US states Ohio, I think, is 12 letters. So Georgia in part. Augusta is in Georgia. Atlanta's in Georgia. It could be Georgia as in sort of Russia as well, couldn't it? So a part of Georgia that's 5, 7. Georgia. Could it be a person called Georgia? I'm trying to think, are there any famous sweet Georgia Brown? US states Ohio. I don't know. I think that might be an anagram, but I haven't got it. So we've still got a blank canvas to work with. Let's try this one. Rugby player from Falmouth carelessly knocking out male. Okay, I think I have got this one. Although it's not actually a position I recognise from rugby. But let's try and think about how this might work. So remember, these cryptic clues are exactly like mathematical equations. They have sort of something that equals is what we're going to write as the answer. So rugby player is what we're going to write in here. We need the name of a rugby player, so a position in rugby. It won't be the actual name of a person, because the Times doesn't do that. So it's going to be the name of a rugby position, I think. From. Okay, so that's from here is doing the duty of the equal sign. Falmouth carelessly. Well, that's saying treat the letters of the word Falmouth in a careless way. Shuffle them. Now you might say, but there are 8 letters of Falmouth and we only need 7 letters. Well, let's explain that by looking at the rest of the clue. Knocking out male. Well, and this is important. If we go over here and we put M into the dictionary, we will find listed as one of the abbreviations of M, male. There we go. Now, you can't just abbreviate, it bears repetition. You can't just abbreviate any word to its initial letter. It has to be supported by the dictionary. So one of the things that is really, really important when you start to learn how to do cryptic crosswords is to start to get just a familiarity with common abbreviations. You know, L is going to be left or lake. What else have we got here? Learner driver, that comes up. Liberal. You won't see things like that spelling of loch or licentiate. You won't see that. You may see that if you're doing more sophisticated cryptic crosswords. If you go and do the listener crossword from the Times, which appears in the Saturday edition of the Times each week, everything goes in that. So you can see some weird things. You might see Lambert being used to indicate an L. But in the normal Times crossword, they tend to stick to things that are very, well, I'll say fair. So let's do the A's as well. So you won't see absolute in the Times. You won't really see I can never say this word, academician or academy. You might see ace. You might see acre, but doubt it. You might see adult, but I doubt it. Advanced, not really. I don't think so. America, you would see. American, you would see. Answer, I think you would see, because I think Q&A has become such a clear abbreviation. Chemical elements, well, actually, that's the old abbreviation for argon, because it's now AR. You certainly see chemical element abbreviations. Australian, you might see Australia. So just gaining a familiarity with what's acceptable is very useful. So if we knock the M out of Falmouth, and then we shuffle up what's left, the only thing I come up with there is out half. I've never heard of it. I mean, out half, is that really 3, 4? Let me just give this a moment in case there's something much more obvious that I'm not seeing. And I mean, I've heard of an outside half. I mean, I'm going to go for out half on the basis that I can't think of another anagram that fits, but I've never heard of it. Let's see if the F's useful in 3 down. Stay extremely desperate and become alcoholic. That's a very nicely worded clue. Actually, I have solved this one now. So, again, let's try and think of the clue as a mathematical equation. So we know that one side of the clue is going to be the equals bit. So stay could be the definition, 9-letter word for stay, or it could be alcoholic or become alcoholic. Now, when I read the clue, I was fairly confident that the definition, the answer, was a word that meant stay. And that's because I read the word and here a bit like a plus, you know, and also extremely desperate. When I see extremely desperate, I think the clue writer is saying take the extreme letters of the word desperate, its first and last letter. So that was making me think, okay, I might be looking for a word that starts DE that means stay. And that was enough to give me the answer, because if we think of a stay of execution, what is that? It's a deferral or a deferment. And if something ferments, it becomes alcoholic. So it's lovely, actually. It's a lovely clue. And I'm pretty sure that's the answer. What's going on here then? Right. Oh, running. This is some weird Latin phrase, I think. Flee Milan, running with loved ones. Now, it's actually getting dark. It is now 10:42 in the morning, and I can hardly see my keyboard. So, if words run, if something's running, it's in motion, isn't it? So I think what here also, the better you get at these puzzles, the more familiar you'll get with looking at phrases and thinking, those letters don't sit right to my eye. Flee Milan, it just looks like a weird collection of letters. And that should make you ask the question, okay, why? Why are there weird letters in the clue? And very often it's going to be because the clue writer needs those particular letters in that order, or in a string, in order to create an anagram. So we need 9 letters. So Flee Milan is 9 letters. They're running, so that's the anagram indicator. And this is going to mean with loved ones. Oh, en famille then. Okay, I thought it was going to be Latin, but I think now it's not, is it? It's French. En famille. Which is a phrase I've heard of. Okay, now that might be helpful, look, because we've got an M at the end of 5 down. Let's have a quick look at that. Well, this is good, because if you've followed everything we've talked about so far, I think you can read this clue and have a good chance of understanding at least how it works. Broken humori. Now, how many times in your life have you seen humori written down ever? I think humori must be the plural of humerus, so it's a plural for bones. Now, there are very unlikely to be any synonyms for that. They just are funny bones, aren't they? Humerus. The humerus is the funny bone. Funny bone is not 7 letters. So why have we got the word humori in the clue? It must be because the constructor needs those specific letters, and those letters are being broken. So we need to anagram them. And you may say, well, that's only 6 letters. But punctured by new. Well, if we have the thought, could new be N? Well, absolutely it can. Let's go and check. There it is, new. That could all equal a metal. Now, those of you familiar with Tom Lehner's song, Actually, it's not a bad thing to get familiar with The Elements by Tom Lehrer. If you've never heard it, you're in for an absolute treat. I mean, I've literally made your Friday. Just go and type into YouTube Tom Lehrer, The Elements, and just be prepared to, there's antimony, oxygen, well, I'm not going to remember. There's antimony, oxygen, boron, gadolinium, niobium, iridium, strontium, and silicon, and silver, and samarium, bismuth, lithium, beryllium, and barium. But yeah, Tom Lehrer does all of the periodic table as it was at the point that he wrote the song. And therefore, I'm trying to work out, I mean, it's going to end in ium, isn't it? And I think we're going to be looking at rhenium. Rhenium. I can't remember where that comes in the song. Rhenium. There's sulfur, californium, actinium, rubidium, and boron, gadolinium, niobium, iridium, and strontium, and silicon, and silver, and samarium, and bismuth, bromine. I think that's the same thing I did before. Bismuth, bromine, lithium, beryllium, and barium. Anyway, rhenium, I'm pretty sure, is an element. So that's going to be the answer. Now, what's going on with this one again? Temporary stable lad. A stable lad is a groom. Ah! Aha! Well, I haven't got it yet, but I think we can put groom at the end and something room then. Temporary, standing room. If you're a stand-in, you're a temporary. So, temporary stable lad is the wordplay. Oh, and the definition is quite obscure. The definition is unseated here. So it's a place where people might be unseated, which is a standing room, as in standing room only. So that's quite tricky. Sorry, I've just got a note on WhatsApp. The eternally buzzing thing that makes my phone buzz. Anyway, look at this now. Standing room has given us all these starting letters. So let's go back to this. In conversation, claim. Female, consumed. Surfeit, satiate? Satiate. Claim. I like satiate. But that would mean... Is there a say she? Say she. Oh, yes, okay, that does work. That's really strange. Good grief. Okay, I can explain this. I feel a bit daft, actually, for not being able to immediately understand how that homophone worked, but it does work, and I nearly explained it properly. But the thing that threw me was I know that female can be abbreviated to F, so a little knowledge here was a dangerous thing. Let's go and have a look and see if we can find F there, female. So, but if we discard that as a thought, and we consumed for 8 is still in the answer, so that's fine. But in conversation, claim female. Well, say she, as in say, S-A-Y. If you say something, you claim it. A female is a she, S-H-E. So say she. Well, in the word satiate, that's actually spelt S-A-T-I. So in conversation, say she, S-A-Y, S-H-E, plus the 8, that's just normal. And then a surfeit, if you surfeit is if you satiate something, you've got a surfeit of something, haven't you? So I think, I mean, that's clearly right. You couldn't make up that homophone in a month of Sundays. So let's carry on. Touching answer wins time. Well, we thought answer could be A. We looked at that. So touching, if something's abutting or adjacent or wins time. Oh, yes, gains. If you wins, gains, T for time, V equals U plus AT. I keep trying to remember Newton's equations of motion. And someone did write in kindly last week and remind me of the one I always forget. S equals ut plus a half at squared. I remember that one. V equals u plus at. And there was something like, there was something squared equals something squared. Oh, I can't remember what it was now. No, I mean, that's appalling. Someone even reminded me and I can't remember it. Good grief. Anyway, that's helpful. Let's try on. Let's try 4 down. VIP. Oh, Lipro. VIP lifted. Well, okay. This is a very difficult word, but it's quite funny. So, here we're looking for a word of a VIP, and actually when I read the clue I immediately thought of the word noble, which is a totally reasonable thought, but it's not right. But we need a 5-letter word for a VIP. Now let's read the wordplay and see if that's going to help us. Lifted. Now this is a down clue. So if a synonym or if a word is lifted, what does that mean? Well, that can indicate a reversal. Now, if the word lifted appeared in an across clue, it cannot mean a reversal. Because if you lift something in an across horizontal plane, it doesn't change direction. So that's very important. That so if you saw in an across clue from east to west or something like that, that could indicate a reversal, but it couldn't in a down clue. So, lifted a prohibition of humming. Now, the problem is with cryptic crossword writers that they're all evil, basically. And they will write clues that conjure up images in your head. And those images will have nothing to do with the answer. And they will use words out of context completely. So, VIP lifted prohibition of humming conjures up to me the thought of a famous person allowing a ban or lifting a ban on people going along going Well, there is another meaning of humming which is important here. If something hums, not in the sense, what does it do? It stinks, doesn't it? If something hums, it reeks. So what we have to think of here, I mean, the clue perhaps is the word prohibition. Can we think of any short synonyms for prohibition? Well, the prohibition is a ban, isn't it? So could this be a reversal of the word ban? And if we have that thought, and if we know the word, which is, it's a difficult word, if we know the word nabob, a BO ban, BO as in body odour, literally. So a BO ban has been lifted to give us the word nabob, and a nabob is a VIP. I think it's a very wealthy person. Let's have a look. A European who has amassed a fortune in the East. There we go. A person of great wealth. An important person, a nawab. So, a BO ban is a prohibition of humming, a prohibition of smelling, and that has been lifted. It's been literally raised, and that is why nabob is the answer. Let's have a look. Scope might be breadth here. 9 across. Scope of brief article on money. Well, yeah, that's right. So, let's think about how this works. Again, mathematically, we need a word that means scope. Of is doing the duty of an equal sign, because it's saying we're going to create a word that means scope out of the following wordplay. A brief article, we'll come back to that, on money. Well, can we think of any short synonyms for money? There are loads, unfortunately. But if we see a B blank E at the start of a word, and we're asked that question, so can you think of starting this answer with a synonym for money? You might think of the word bread. Bread is money. And then breadth is scope. The scope of something is its breadth. Why is TH a brief article? Well, the definite article in speech is the word the. So if we treat that word briefly, we cut it short, we just get the TH part, and that gives us breadth. And what's this going to be? Old something? Oddball? Daring. to cycle in front of bad cops. Old Bill are the cops. It's a sort of English slang for the police, the Old Bill. So it must be Old Bill. I don't quite know why yet. Let's put it in and see if we can justify it. So daring to cycle. Oh, if you're daring, you're bold, aren't you? And if the word bold cycles, then it sort of takes its first letter and that goes to its last letter, and then the next cycle would be the second letter going to last, etc. So we've cycled the word bold to get OLDB, and that goes in front of a synonym for bad, and if something is bad, it's ill. So that is definitely right. Let's try 12 across. Carry cans home for preserving food. Carry. Yeah. Okay. It's a very nicely worded clue again. Carry cans home for preserving food. Again, it conjures up an image, doesn't it? That image isn't much use. So let's try and understand how this clue works mathematically. And remember, the word for here can do the duty of equals. So we do some things, we do have some wordplay to equal a word that means preserving food. So can you think of a word here that means preserving food? I mean, the part of speech suggests it might end in ing, which might be helpful. So how does the wordplay work? Carry cans home. Now the only part of that has a very common short synonym is the word home. If you're home, you are in. At home, you're in. So carry, if you carry something, you bring it, and that cans, it includes the word in for home, and that gives you a word brining, not a word that you use very often, or I use very often, but brining could certainly mean preserving food. So I think that must be how that works. Now what's this going to be? Hugger mugger or something? Yeah, I mean, that's right. I mean, the only reason I've got that is because we've got these ridiculous checking letters here. But one embracing, someone who embraces you would be a hugger. A criminal is a mugger. And hugger mugger is one of these weird phrases that means secretly. So hugger mugger is right. Let's try 11 across. Trainer, maybe. Could be coach. Regularly coming from Torbay isn't about to return. Yeah. Okay. So, again, we've had the thought the answer might be trainer, because that, well, from the checking letters, but then we saw the word coach, which obviously is a trainer. So how does the wordplay work? Regularly coming from Torbay isn't. Well, if you see the word regularly in a clue, that means take the regularly occurring letters, which will almost always mean either the even letters, the even numbered letters, so the letters in positions 2, 4, 6 and 8 in the string, or the odd numbered letters, the first letter, the third letter, fifth letter, etc. So let's try that here. If we take the odd numbered letters, we take the T, the R, the A, the I, the N, and then that gives us the train part of trainer, but we need the rest of it. So where does the ER come from? It has to come from about to return. Well, if something is about something, it's re-it, R-E. Let's just look that up, because, I mean, it's very common. You might see it on a memo at work, re, and then it'll have the subject of the memo. There we go, re, concerning with reference to. So about, re, is returning. Well, that gives us ER, explaining the end of the answer there. So we're getting on a bit better now. We've got to start. This was the, south something. South. It's going to be south something. It's South Estonia, is it? Is Georgia in South Estonia? I quite like that as a thought. It's taken me quite far away from Augusta, Georgia. It feels like that's about right for the anagram fodder, doesn't it? Oh no, hang on. No, that's not right. That's not right. There's no N in US. So it isn't that. It's South something. South. It probably is. Oh, why can't I see what it is? I think it is going to end in IA as well. I'm stunned. I'm sitting here. It is. I can hardly see my hands. I didn't think I was going to need a light. Anyway, let's move on. I can't do the anagram. Public, overt, penury, essentially. Never saw how you say penury. Is it penury or penury? Public, so overt, penury. Penury is sort of. Let's put overt in and see if we can understand it. Yes, poverty is penury, isn't it? So okay, if we think of the word poverty, and the essence of the word poverty would be its core, its centre. So again, we're just taking the middle of the word poverty. That is the word overt, and overt means public. So oh goodness, so South Ossetia or something. South Ossetia, is that? It is something like that. I mean, I'm not sure. Something like that, I think. South Ossetia. I'll put that in and hope. We'll try and justify these checking letters, but I think I'm going to try this one beginning with F. Perhaps William Spooner. Oh, Spooner. Okay, so we're going to have to explain Spoonerisms. Perhaps William Spooner's cultivated reputation. I mean, it's almost going to be easier if I can solve this and then explain it. A Spoonerism, named after the Reverend Spooner from, I don't know when. I would have guessed around 1900, but I might be slightly out with that. Was famous for changing the initial letters of something. So let's try and think of something. So going solo would be a phrase we're all familiar with. Now, if that was spoonerized, it would be sewing golo, which doesn't mean anything. But there are examples of spoonerisms where you can construct different phrases by spoonerizing something. And crossword setters love this. So I don't know what the answer is to this, though. Perhaps William. Firstborn or something? Burst. Oh, first name would be good, because a reputation is a name. Nursed fame. Yeah, okay. It's first name. Good grief. I mean, that's not easy. But let's talk about how it works. So, perhaps William is the definition. As in, literally, William is an example of a first name. Spooner's cultivated reputation. Well, if you cultivated a reputation, you would nurse fame, nursed fame. Nursed, if you nurse something, you cultivate it. Fame, obviously, is reputation. Switch the initial letters round, and you get something that sounds like first name. I mean, it's bonkers, but this is how it will work. Now, oh gosh, now the storm is coming. Let's try 16. Deal for one, accepted by great advocate. Deal is a type of wood. Deal is also a town in the south of Kent in the UK, which has a wonderful golf course called Royal Cinque Ports, which doesn't fit. Deal for one, accepted by great advocate. Deal for one, accepted by great advocate. Solicitor is an advocate in the sense of a legal person. Actually, that could be right. Let's put it in and just see if we can justify it. Accepted by great. I don't like it. I'm not sure. It could be solicitor, but I can't see why. I'm also, if we think about how this works... Actually, I'm not sure now. No, I'm just not sure. Don't know. Let's move on. I'm not having any sensible thoughts about that. 19 across. Very oddly observed. Loves motorway and noise of cars. Vroom? I think that is going to be vroom. I haven't worked out why yet, but it begins with V for very, and that is an abbreviation. So very oddly observed loves motorway. Yes, okay. Oh, right. Okay, so I thought V was very, but that's not right here. So where did we see it? We saw it with regularly. It's a bit like that. So the way this works... Sorry, there's now a lot of storm noise in the background. If we take the oddly observed letters in the word very, we take the odd numbered letters, which are V and R. Loves. Well, if you get a love score in tennis, what do you get? You get 0. So loves is actually 0, 0. Zeros look like O's in crossword compilers' minds, which is sort of justified, because if you look up the definition of the word O, not the letter. Well, let me show you. O. Here we go. So O, as a noun, is the 15th letter of the alphabet, sure. In a series of numbers, naught or nothing, anything round or nearly so. So, you know, loves and O's, or zeros and O's, are sort of treated interchangeably. And then motorway were for M. Well, especially if you live in England, you will have heard of the M25, the road to hell, as Chris Rea called it. That's why M is there, and the whole thing gives the noise of cars. Vroom. Let's try 19 down. Harridans. Well, harridans are... Well, I might have got this then. Harridans are sort of termagants. They are shrews. Normally women, I think, who nag people a lot. I think that's the... So I'm thinking of the word virago. I don't know if that's going to be right, actually. Harridans with spirit. Ousting earlier maidens. Maybe it's not that then. I don't know. That was my thought. It was a poor one. Let's try 20 down. View opinion tearjerker about end of Philip the First. Okay, that's lovely. Tearjerker. Again, it conjures up a weepy movie, doesn't it? Something that, you know, moves you. But it's not that sort of tear. It's an onion. It's literally an onion. If you cut an onion, it makes you cry. So a tearjerker here is an onion, which goes around the end of Philip. That's a P. I is just plain. And that gives us opinion, which is a view. Let's try this one. 23. Go to bed, turn in. With gigolos initially, that's the initial letter of the word gigolo, in a word that means rotation. Well, it's a turning, isn't it? That was very easy because we had the checking letters. Let's try 25. Idiotic, head of accounts. Okay, so I think this is going to be asinine, and I've only read the first 4 letters of the clue. Because head of accounts, well, from a cryptic crossword perspective, that can only be the head letter of the word accounts. And look, we've got a head letter here, which suggests that idiotic is going to be the definition. It's going to be the thing we're trying to get the clue to equal. Is retiring. I'll retire the word is, so I'll reverse it. And the watershed on television is the 9 o'clock, I think, was after which you were allowed to have swearing and, you know, bedroom scenes and things like that. So asinine is definitely right. Oh, Virago's wrong. No. No. Wow. I mean, I have to show you virago now, just to show you. I mean, if you're not familiar with the word, I wasn't being a complete idiot. A violent or bad-tempered woman. And I'm sure I mean, I'm not cheating because I know Haradan is that. A Haradan, a short, sharp-tempered, scolding or bullying old woman. Wow. With spirit. What's spirit? Verve? Ousting earlier maidens. Maidens are difficult. Maidens are interesting in a cryptic crossword sense. There's a couple of meanings there that are worth just noting. A maiden, maiden can be abbreviated to M, and I think that's from cricket scoring, where a maiden over would be signalled with the initial M. But also, a maiden is an example of an over in cricket, from which no runs are scored. I don't know. I'm sorry, I haven't got a clue about that one. Second person, is this? Lacking purpose. Once missing church, for example. Lacking purpose. Once missing church, for example. I don't know. I've only had one thought about this clue, which is of any merit at all, and that is once missing church. I think that might be signalling ON. And that's because at church, when we see that in cryptic crosswords, it's almost always referring to the abbreviation. Well, there's two abbreviations for church that come up. One is CH, and the other is CE for Church of England. So once missing church, if you take the word once, we knocked CE out of it, that would give us ON. So I'm wondering if this ends ON. Then lacking purpose. Lacking purpose without intent or something, and then the whole thing is going to mean, for example, object lesson. That's object lesson. If you're objectless, an object is your intent, isn't it? It's the thing you want to do. So if you're objectless, you are lacking in a purpose. Plus ON, we've talked about how we get that. We get object lesson, which is an example of something. Oh no, so what is this then? Harridans. With spirit. Ousting earlier maidens. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. With spirit. Vodka is a spirit? Verve, if you have spirit, you have verve, don't you? But none of this feels right. I don't know. Let's hope my subconscious can work on that. Actually, we've got a B at the end of 17 down. Basil, perhaps. Well, basil is as well as being a faulty, is a herb. So I'm thinking pot herb, maybe? Is blind at first after choking smoke. Choking smoke. I'm wondering, I mean, I think pother is a word, P-O-T-H-E-R, but I don't know what it means. So, oh, well, okay, but let's imagine it was pot herb. Does that mean advocate is a supporter? Deal is a port. So I said it was a town on the south coast. It is. It's one of the sank ports, though. Along with which other ones? Hythe? Is Rye a sank port? Maybe Dover? I'm not sure. But anyway, Deal for one is a port. And that's accepted by great, so it's inside the word super, which is certainly great, and then an advocate is a supporter. So this is going to be potherb, I think. And the way I'm getting to that, so basil perhaps is defining potherb, blind at first, so is doing the duty of the equal sign. Then we've got blind at first, that's this B, and that's after choking smoke. So pother would have to be choking smoke. Well, let's put it in. I'm not sure, and I won't look it up until I'm committed to the answer. So, but that's my best guess for this one. Let's try this one. Little known, obscure, surgeon supporting oxygen therapy. Yeah. Okay, I think that is obscure. So how do we get to this? Well, this is a tricky one. Little known, well, that's fine, that's obscure. Surgeon, I think, is BS for Bachelor of Surgery. Supporting oxygen, it's a down clue, so if something supports something, it's like Atlas supporting, it's holding it up, isn't it? So O, which is oxygen, it's the abbreviation for oxygen in the periodic table. So BS supports O, and then cure is therapy as a cure. So I'm not going to change obscure, but let's just see if BS is. I mean, that's a slightly odd abbreviation, in my opinion. Oh, Bachelor of Science. Oh, Bachelor of Surgery. There we go. It is there. So, obscure. So what's this? To taste or something? Child is a tot. Yeah. Child is a tot. With poor seat, if we treat the letters of the word seat poorly, we might anagram them. And for as you like it, and that's to your taste, to taste. So let's try this one. 22. Acclaim. Some rising digital celebrities. Okay, well, there's one of these in almost every Times crossword, and it's a so-called hidden, where the answer is actually spelt out in the clue. Now, some people think, okay, so I'm just going to scan all the clues until I find a hidden word. It's easier to find than that once you realise the constructor must tell you that the answer is hidden in the clue. So there has to be something in this clue that says, take some of these letters. And here the word some is what's doing it. So we have to, and also the word rising. This is a down clue. So if the string digital celebrities was treated in a rising way, it would be reversed, wouldn't it? Because it's a down clue. And if we take some of that string, you can see spelt out in the middle, E-C-L-A-T, éclat, which is a French word that means acclaim. So let's show you that. Oh, it's because of the E-acute accent that it's not coming up there. There we go. Éclat, striking effect, distinction, applause. So what's this? Without asexual, could it be? Yeah, without desire. It's going to be asexual. Let's put that in. And then we have to justify it. So, topless worker, occasionally cuddling, former partner. A casual, I think, is an occasional worker, like a temp. And if the word casual is treated in a topless way, it removes its first letter. That gives us asual, A-S-U-A-L. That cuddles the former partner. Your ex is your former partner, to give us asexual, which means without desire. And we're just left with, let's now obviously potherb is going to be correct, so let's look up pother. Literally choking smoke or dust. Okay, I didn't know that. Yes, I think in my brain I had it as synonymous with bother, which it did seem to be, didn't it? To fluster or perplex. But right, we've got to get this one. 19 down. Harridans with spirit ousting earlier maidens. With spirit. spirit. Oh goodness, I'm not sure how to read this. I think we need, I suspect we need a word that means with spirit. And we're going to remove M from it. That's my best guess. Whoa. And the whole thing means harridans. I still think it means harridans. And the fact it isn't viragos is an absolute disgrace. But, okay, harridans. What do we think that is going to be then? Harpies is a... That doesn't begin with V. Oh, could it mean maidens? Could it be virgins? Oh, gin is a spirit. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, a go. Oh my goodness, that's vicious. That's absolutely vicious. Right. Okay, it's virgins. That's by far the hardest clue in the puzzle, because you have to know the word virago for a start, which, okay, I did know, but I don't think that many people will know the word harridan and that it's a synonymous with virago. But you have to know that to understand this wordplay, because once you've got that, we're then going to take the word virago and we're going to substitute the word ago that appears in the word virago, ago meaning earlier. If something was ago, it was earlier in time, with a word for a spirit, as in the spirit gin, as in gin and tonic. That will give us virgins, which are maidens, are virgins. I mean, that's vicious. That is absolutely vicious, but it's right. I'm confident about that. So South Ossetia, I mean, have I got the spelling right there? Probably have. I think that's going to be right. Let's see. Submit without leaderboard. We certainly weren't racing. And we are correct. So that is how to solve today's Times Cryptic crossword. I do like in these videos, and some of you like me to have a little race on the quick cryptic. So I'll have a go at that now. I won't give any commentary or any real commentary here. I will try and go quickly. We'll see how we do with this one. Let's see. Okay, here we go. By Mara. Fenmere, clear. Manifest, I think, is the answer. It's an anagram. Switch hands passing to the left. Oh, goodness knows. Island created fresh air. Madeira, I think, is the answer there. Made anagram of air. Older relative of a kid. Nanny goat. Witness, insect, fly on the wall. Tube where growths come up. Straw, reversal of warts. Not entirely good, and yet excellent. That's a hidden, that's dandy. Icy, very cold. Got New Jersey is a garment. Can't find the letter. Can't see anything. Again, change, a physical exercise after study. Readjust or something. Or readapt. PT for physical therapy. Ridiculous place to sit when training. Potty. Your thingamajig has twit discombobulated. What's it? Swap then. Pause reversed. Arcade nearly collapsed. Its days may be numbered. Oh, that's an anagram. Calendar year. Oh my, can you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that, but the thunder is going. Editor, maybe? I'm going to hope that's correct. Badge pinned by a rosette. That's a hidden as well. Let's try that one over there. Settle. A light. Where's my keyboard? Middle Eastern Israeli. That's an anagram. What's that one then? Whiskey, trier and a few when drunk. Firewater. Oh goodness, I can't type. That's not helpful. Vehicle kaput, rear end knocked off. Bust. Director's bored. Oh, yeah, it's just that spelling, I think. Correct tax code, extremely unusual. I want that to be exact, but I'm not sure it is. Yeah, it is. It's an anagram. Goodness. Okay, I have understood that. It just took me a moment. Scottish dish, no, tasted by convict. Porridge. Silly Simon. How can you not just write that in? Tango, is this? Dance. Yeah, we'll go for tango. Men and girl out for troll. Gremlin, I think. Okay, scrap, we'll go for fight. If I could see, and twig. Okay, I didn't really read some of those. That could be nonsense, but it was right. Okay, 5th out of 178, so not totally dreadful. So yeah, so I came second. I don't know, wee Davy, that is not a real time, 1 minute 20. Verlaine is real though, we saw Matthew Marcus earlier. Current Times crossword champion, so I was a little bit behind. Misty Chris is real, Andy Fisher is real. But yeah, that's what we can do. Thank you very much. If you're still watching this now, I'm very grateful. We absolutely love cryptic crosswords. That's why the channel is called Cracking the Cryptic. We just love the YouTube algorithm to realise that I think there are a lot of people out there who would really enjoy these puzzles. If only they could, if only A, they knew they existed, and B, were guided in their first few attempts at solving them, because most people, I think, are only get into cryptic crosswords because a relative solves them and the relative teaches. That's how I got into it. You know, my dad used to do the crosswords on holiday, and I would see him and I would look over his shoulder, and it was completely mysterious and arcane to me. It was impossible. For many years, it took ages, because structured teaching of cryptic crosswords isn't really available, and some people do it by buying a book. That just is a very hard way to learn, in my opinion. And I think videos can really help. So yeah, if you do enjoy these videos, please drop them a like, a kind comment. Maybe the algorithm can learn. And anyway, we'll be back later with more editions of Cracking the Cryptic, solving some Sudoku. But thank you for watching, and bye for now.